Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the 66th recitation from Asa Mahalla Panjama in this segment of Khoj Gurbani. The recitation. Asa Mahalla Panjama Miti, a-sabad-a-day, Andhere साध-सेवा अग कटे गणेरे सुख सहज आनंद घना गुरु सेवा ते भय मन निर्मल हर 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 नाम सुना रहाओ बिन से ओ मन का मूर्ख टीठा प्रभ का पाणा लागा मीठा गुरपुरे के चरण गहे कोट जन्म के पाप लहे रतन जन्म एहु सफल भया कहो नानक प्रभ करी मया. So Guru Arjan continues with the same theme that we saw in the previous passage, where he speaks about purity of the mind, which comes about as a result of devotion to Guru wisdom. Bhai Puneet Santan Ki Dhur, if you recall. And in this passage, he says something similar. Guru Seva Te Bhai Mandirmal. So purity literally implies being free of contamination. And so from a Gurmat perspective, the only adulteration is haume, the ego mind. Its fears, its biases, its prejudice, its conditioning is the adulteration that contaminates the purity of our awareness, fogs it up. It's like a blind spot. And so that is what has to be removed. And the Guru says, Miti Agian Andhere. Tyas is thirst, specifically the thirst of cravings and addictions, because the ego very quickly corrupts itself into addictions of one sort or the other. So the Guru says, Miti Tyas, my cravings ceased. Agian Andhere, the darkness of ignorance was lifted. So when the darkness of ignorance is lifted, my cravings ceased, or cravings will cease. Now the darkness of ignorance, again, is symbolic of the ego, because it is ignorant of its true nature. So the darkness is dispelled only through sad-seva ag kate ghanere. Ag kate ghanere. Sad-seva. Sad is derived from siddh, which means perfection. That is the highest good. So we have to commit ourselves, devote ourselves to the highest good. Sadha-seva. Seva is devotion, service, if you will. To attend upon something with devotion is seva. So sadha-seva ag kate ganere. Ag, literally translated, means sin. But sin is simply being misguided. So misguided actions. So the Guru is saying, when I devoted myself or pursued the highest good, the veil of darkness was lifted from my mind, my cravings ceased, and my misguided actions were corrected. And so the result of that is what he describes in the Rahau verse. He says, Sukh sahaj anand ghana. Sukh sahaj anand ghana. three different words signifying related feelings. The first is sukh. Sukh is pleasure, ease, a sense of well-being. So it comes from sukha, which means there is no obstruction when life is flowing. So a deep pleasure, sahaj, which is spontaneous, anand, and blissful. So a deep pleasure that arises spontaneously and is blissful, he says, was experienced when Guru Seva te bhaye man nirmal har 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 naam suna. When I heard the discourse of self-knowledge through Guru wisdom. You see, there's devotion to the highest good, which happens through Guru wisdom, because Guru wisdom is the highest good. So the Guru says, when I heard the discourse of self-knowledge through Guru wisdom, bhaye man nirmal, purity, my mind was purified. So when the ego was removed, that contamination was distilled out. Then I experienced sukha sahaj ananda ghana, extreme pleasure, spontaneous, natural, blissful. So that's the experience, the summit. And then he goes on to explain what happens is the mind gives up its foolish, obdurate nature. Binasyo man ka murkh teetha. Murkh is foolish and teet is obdurate, one that is unyielding. Again, this is an explanation of the ego. The ego is unyielding because it is conditioned, it's hardened in its habits. So the Guru says now that foolish obstinacy has disappeared. The mind now moves in accord with the will of the Prabhu. Now it is lined up with my inner self. Prabhu ka pana laga mita. Now I find the will of the Prabhu agreeable. So as a result of delving deep into the perfection of Guru wisdom, which is the highest good, Gur pure ke charan gahe. Gahe is to extract, is to do deep mining. So you're delving very deep into, you're plumbing the depths of your own soul, so to speak. Gur pure ke charan gahe. Because that is where this wisdom is. Guru wisdom is that principle that leads you to the Har self within, you see. So the wisdom. So by delving deep, the Guru says, Guru pure ke charan gahe, kot janam ke paap lahe. My deep-rooted prejudices and biases were removed. Kot janam, of course, we know, means thousands of births. What that means is a long, long, long period of evolution that we spoke of in the previous Shabad. So this is an evolving process. So we hold, our prejudices are deeply held. They're deeply rooted in us. So, kot janam ke paap lahe, le jana, removed, washed off. And he concludes by saying, this is success, fruition of human life. Ratan janam iho safal bhaya. Such is the fruition of human life. If you want to measure human life, the success of human life, then here's your litmus test. Have you devoted yourself to the highest good, to Guru wisdom, in order to expel the fog of ignorance from your mind so that you can achieve clarity of purpose? Have you done that? The Guru says that is the test of a successful life. But Kaho Nanak says, Prabh kari maya, the self was merciful, grace. So we should all pray for grace, make the effort. So you see, life moves between something that is determinate and something that is fluid. You have the end. You possess within yourself the motivation to move in a particular direction, but we move within the auspices of grace. So both of them work together. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.